Viewer discretion advised.
Welcome to Dezombified. We tell the stories, but you decide. Fan of our work? After the video, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to be alerted of new content. You can also follow us through Facebook and Twitter. Like us to tell your story or share your experience with the paranormal. Maybe collaborate on future content. We are dying to hear from you, so please leave us a comment now, without further ado. My name's Luke Valentine. I build things. On the side, I sold reclaimed wood and random doodads over at the flea market. And that's where I met Danielle, an interior designer in search of wood for a custom table build. Hi, I'm Luke. Can I be of service?
Nice to meet you, Luke. I'm Danny, by the way.
I sold her some and gladly loaded her truck. We got to talking and hit it off. We married a year later and started a business, renovating and flipping houses. I'd build and she'd design. We worked hard and vacationed often. We have photo albums full of memories to share with our children and grandkids. But we were in no rush to start our own family. In our third year, Danny came home one day and woke me from a nap. She was really excited and had a surprise for me. She purchased our first farm property, and the price was a steal, way below market value. We kept to the suburbs and felt ready for a new challenge. It was habitable and the utilities worked, so we planned a weekend getaway. We'd collect our estimates but also relax and decompress. I told her we could even camp out under the stars by a toasty fire and snuggle. She liked that idea. The night before we left, we ate dinner at our favorite restaurant.
Can I interest you in an appetizer?
Yes, a fried calamari, please. Afterwards, we walked through a street fair on our way home. Danny spotted a past client of ours, Matilda O'Hare. Her project went over budget and took a week longer. Heated words were exchanged on both sides. It was a mess. She read tarot cards and set up a table and chair right there on the street. Danny wanted to go just for kicks. I saw it as a peace offering. We greeted her, and she sat. I walked off and lit a cigarette with Grandpa's Zippo lighter. He got it in the Army during World War II. My pops was also a vet, and he passed it on to me, our family heirloom. It saved Grandpa's life, stopped a bullet to his heart, and in other ways too. After her session, Danny came over, her face pale. Hey, everything all right?
Yeah, sure. Hey, give me a puff of that, yeah?
Danny wasn't a smoker, so that stood with me. Later, at home, Danny asleep, I checked photos of the farmhouse online. I was dozing on and off. The last photo was glitched. I kept mashing refresh until it stabilized. It was a cornfield. In the center was a blurred figure. The bed trembled, and I was startled. It was our neighbor's cat, Puddles, We were sitting till morning. What is it, Puddles? Wanna lay with us? I leaned back to close the laptop, and the figure was gone. Strange. I put away the laptop and saw a shadow move by my window. I got up and peeked through the curtain. By our cherry tree, in a light fog, was a man, but I couldn't see who. Quickly, I threw on my robe and grabbed my bat. I went out the back for an element of surprise. I crept slowly towards the tree, but there was no one there. I glanced down and spotted a mound of insects. Using a fallen tree branch, I scraped them away. Underneath was a dead pig's fetus. I dropped the branch and went inside. The following day, we arrived at the farm. Barb Hansen, the realtor, greeted us. She handed us the keys, and we both signed the deed. She left and we settled in. It was sparsely furnished and super dusty. There was this really cool vintage working grandfather clock, a desk, dinner table, and 3 moldy beds. Over the fireplace hung a painting. It was of a couple. The gentleman seemed hearty and jolly, but his wife had a bitter look to her face. The major appliances didn't work, except the stove. It was cluttered with empty cans, containers, and junk left by squatters. We tidied up and collected some estimates. Dinner time approached, so we jumped in our car and drove to town. We got supplies and saw a restaurant, Lucky's Fish and Chips. We walked in and sat at a table. We stood out.
Hi, I'm Monica, your waitress. You two new in town? Actually, we just bought the Bronson Farms.
Her mood changed, and unexpectedly she walked off. We looked at each other quizzically. A few moments later, Lucky himself approached our table.
Excuse me, but I'ma need you two to order your food to go.
We asked if there was a problem. He asked that we didn't make a big deal about it. Okay. I left to the bathroom. It was inconveniently outside, around the back, and needed a key. It was dirty, smelly, and the lighting was subpar. I relieved myself and went to wash up. I splashed cold water on my face when a loud bang came from the last stall. Hello? Hello? Someone there? No reply. I took a step in its direction. Suddenly the lights flickered wildly. Banging ensued, and the stall began shaking intensely. Urinals overflowed, and the faucets turned on by themselves. I was frightened and tried to escape. The door wouldn't budge. I spotted a window and tried to open it. As I continued to struggle, the lights went out. Behind me, I heard a raspy sort of breathing. Sheepishly, turning my head for a glimpse, a cold hand slid onto my shoulder. I froze in fear.
Luke, are you all right?
I heard Danny's voice, felt the warmth of her soft hand in mine. I looked at her and calmed down. I saw the bathroom was back to normal and that we were alone. Am I going insane?
You took so long. Our food's ready. You okay?
I lied to her. I never did before. Sure, it's all good. Let's go, yeah? We got our food and left for the house. After dinner and drinks, I had a smoke. We undressed for a warm bath. I saw the bruise in the mirror. Same place I felt the hand.
What happened to your shoulder, honey? Why the bruise?
Oh, that? A suitcase fell on it while packing. I'm fine. This trip has to be perfect for Danny. I didn't want her worrying I'd gone mental. That night I had the strangest dream. We were having a picnic out back. We wore outdated clothes and laughed happily while fires raged around us. Suddenly, she was gone. I went into the field and frantically searched. I walked into quicksand. I sank until only my right hand was exposed. I felt a cold hand grabbing mine and pulling me out. I began coughing and gasping for air. I looked up to see who had helped. There, standing over me, was a scarecrow. His hand raised, holding a knife, he swung at me, and I awoke. I looked over, and Danny wasn't in bed. I went downstairs. She was in the kitchen, lights off, knife in hand.
Samuel, I'm addressing our woes. Mildred's in the barn. It ends tonight.
I had no idea what she was talking about. After a brief few seconds, she came to.
Why is there a knife in my hand, Luke?
You were sleepwalking, that's all. Who's Samuel? Mildred's in the barn. All gibberish, I thought. She went upstairs. I sat, grabbed a smoke before joining her. The next day I called Barb. I wanted to know why the townsfolk acted so weird about the house. She seemed reluctant, then started spilling tea.
The farm belonged to Samuel and Cassandra Bronson. Cassandra was never able to give Samuel a child. She heard gossip about a witch in town. Her name, I believe, was Agrona. She helped Cassandra, and when she became pregnant, Samuel was thrilled. After its birth, it was clear that the child was deformed. She had eyes of a goat and a lizard's tail. She slithered on the floor and ate live rodents and chickens whole. Out of shame, Cassandra kept her hidden. She despised her, but not Samuel. She was the apple in his eyes. A few years passed, and their farm fell on hard times. Again, Cassandra reached out to the witch for help. What happened after that, no one really knows. It's believed that Cassandra had to sacrifice the child to dark forces in order to make a pact. A large fire broke out, and they were never seen or heard from again. Stay safe, Mr. Valentine.
She hung up. How absurd was that? I believed only what I could see. Lately, not so much. I didn't bother Danny with any of this. It was really hot that day. After lunch, we headed down to the local swimming hole. Danny was catching rays, and I swam out to the middle of the lake. I stopped for a breather when something grabbed my ankle. I was pulled under. I held my breath and fought to break free. My lungs burned. I was running out of air. With one last kick, I broke free and reached the surface. I brushed it off as perhaps a tree branch or some aquatic plant that had entangled my foot. Nothing more. Nothing more. I collected myself and headed to shore. The rest of that day and night went smoothly. We had a romantic dinner, listened to some music, and had a couple of drinks. We got some much-needed rest and sleep. The next day we finished all our work. I began to pack. Danny reminded me that I had promised her a night underneath the stars. Danny was a city girl born and raised. I told her how great it was, the times my family and I would go camping. I figured, what's one more night? I went and set up the tent and fire pit. I was running low on cigarettes.
When are you quitting? Those things kill, you know?
I know. You're right. As soon as we leave, I'm done. Promise. I'll be back soon, okay?
I made it to the store not a second too soon. The store clerk seemed like he was hopped up on something. He wore a black t-shirt that said,
Dezombified.
Cool t-shirt. Excuse me, pack of tar barrels, please. He handed me the pack and my change. He gave me $5 over, so I instantly returned it. He looked at me and smiled. We bonded in a weird way. I headed towards the door.
Excuse me, mister. You're staying at the Brunson's Farms?
I am, yes.
Remember, everything burns, dude. Everything.
That hippie slacker clearly needs help, I thought, as I pulled off. It was now dark. Heavy fog had set in. Driving nearly impossible, I threw on my high beams. No more than a few seconds after, in the middle of the road, was a lady holding a bloody child. I swerved and flew into a ditch. I was dizzy, disorientated. I felt blood trickling down my nose. I could taste mercury in my mouth. The car cabin filled with smoke while the horn blared. I stumbled out. I couldn't find my phone. It must still be in the car, but it was already catching fire. I started walking through the fog back to the house. Making matters worse, I was cold and hungry. After a long walk, I came to the farm. I went in, but Danny wasn't here. She must be waiting in the tent. I cleaned up, bandaged my wound, and changed my clothes. I lit up a smoke and left for the tent. I saw a faint, warm glow, like from a lantern, through the thick fog. I scurried over to the tent, but Danny wasn't here. I heard a muted scream. Sounded like it came from the barn. Off I went, hoping she was okay. I reached the barn and entered. To my right was a pig's freshly slaughtered corpse and an axe. I ventured in deeper and deeper until I found Danny, sitting on the ground weeping. I went to her to help her up. She turned around in a surprised fashion and sliced my arm with a knife. I subdued her.
Luke, I'm sorry. The gypsy, she warned us to stay away. The land craves fresh blood.
Danny fainted. I turned around and as clear as day there was Cassandra hovering over us. With all the strength I could muster, I got Danny up and we ran out into the field. We stopped for a moment to catch our breath, and there, about 50 feet away, was the scarecrow. Danny being in the mood, I planned to lure it away from her. Yo, haystacks, over here! So I ran to the house. Once inside, I paced back and forth, trying to come up with a plan. Through the window I saw, he was here. I hid in a closet underneath the stairs. He came in. I stood as still as a possum. He saw no one, then went up the steps. He paused a brief moment, right over my head, then proceeded up. Man, I want to burn one right now. Wait a minute, the stoner clerk. What was it he said?
Remember, everything burns, dude. Everything.
That wonderful, glorious bastard. He gave me an idea. I went in the kitchen and turned on the stove's gas. I snatched 2 bottles of 100 proof vodka I had and doused the steps. I laid a trail of alcohol leading outside. Reaching a safe distance, I pulled out a cigarette and lit it. I saw him, looking at me from a window in the attic. I took another drag while we stared at each other. Danny said these things kill. She had no idea. I flicked the cigarette.
Trick or treat, you filthy animal.
The house exploded. I fell on my rear. My thoughts quickly turned to Danny. Cassandra tormenting Danny into killing me. One down, one to go. Then it hit me. That night, I woke up and found Danny holding a knife.
Samuel, I'm addressing our woes. Mildred's in the barn. It ends tonight.
BS. Their woes didn't end there. They started there. I knew what I had to do. I took the remaining liquor and made a beeline for the barn. I'd get to Danny after. I just needed one last smoke. I went to the spot where I saw Cassandra and Danny. I began spreading the vodka. I emptied the bottle and ran to Danny. We hugged and stole a kiss in the face of danger. I lit my last cigarette. I handed my Zippo to Danny. I pointed to the vodka.
Finish it.
Danny wiped away her tears and nodded.
Hey, Cassandra, smoke him if you got him.
The barn became engulfed in flames. The house, fields, and barn now ablaze. Embers and ashes took siege of the property. Cassandra appeared, extremely livid. She let out a horrible scream and dashed our way. She was almost upon us when Samuel's spirit manifested itself unexpectedly. He shone bright and gave off such a warmth. Cassandra stopped dead in her tracks. A look of bewilderment befell her. Samuel looked at us and smiled. Then his face became serious. He turned to Cassandra and shot in her direction. He grabbed her. The two of them then melded into a big orb of light. Brighter and brighter it became until we could no longer gaze upon it. We closed our eyes. A few seconds later, they vanished.
Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you. I'm keeping the Zippo, but I am done smoking.
We both laughed and shared a deep sense of relief. Exhausted, we laid down in each other's arms and rested a bit. It was a long, long walk back into town.
Let's close our eyes for a few minutes, okay? Only a few minutes.
Luke, wake up, honey.
Huh? Danny? What is it, babe?
I did it, honey. I did it.
Okay, I'll bite. What did you do?
already? I just bought us our first farmhouse. Bronson Farms.
Wait, what?
Remember, everything burns, dude. Everything.